A few months back, Ghost of Yōtei was one of my most anticipated games of the year. But the thing is, with every new trailer and gameplay showcase, it just keeps getting worse. Now, I don't care about the ogre that plays Atsu, or its ideologies, or whatever the fuck it's supposed to represent, cause if the game is good, none of that matters to me. But with every new sneak peek they put out, it's clear that the game is filled to the brim with progressive garbage. And you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong when I said this game might not live up to Ghost of Tsushima, cause this game most definitely will not live up to it. I was also wrong when I said this. Now, Ghost of Yōtei and Grand Theft Auto 6 get a pass because these people know how to make iconic characters and write great stories. Now, the thing is, out of the ton of games showcased at Gamescom and the Future Games show, only a few really stood out. For the rest, who's even asking for this stuff? I kinda liked this one, but when the main protagonist showed up, I couldn't even figure out if it's a boy or a woman. Gamescom only had one good thing, the announcement for Black Myth sequel, and then the Future Games show blessed us with some new gameplay footage of the Blood of Dawnwalker. That's literally it, for me at least. Now sure, there were a couple of interesting games in there too, like Cronos or this time puzzle indie game, but the sad part is, Ghost of Yōtei is a game that should have been and actually could have been right at the very top. Now, to be honest, I really liked what I saw in the new trailers, until Atsu started talking.
Ruthless spirits, wandering the land, driven by vengeance. Sometimes I feel like that is what I am.
Now, credits were due. The devs still made a decent character model for Atsu, and I have no problems with how she looks. After what I've seen in Black Ops 7 and some other garbage games, trust me, things could have gone much worse. But still, looking at the new gameplay footage left me wondering one thing. How good this game could have been if the devs just continued Jin's story. Now before you say, but Jin's story was completed, just tell me what you're smoking. Jin's story had just begun, because it was by the very end of the first game where he truly becomes the ghost. And not just that, there was actually a second Mongol invasion, and with Jin being hunted by the shogunate, it was clearly setting things up for more. Why else would they make the spear ending canon if continuing Jin's story was never part of the plan? Continuation of his story would have made way more sense. Now, I've heard some rumors in the past that there was a Ghost of Tsushima 2 with Jin Sakai that was crashed to make a game for the modern audience. To be honest, I don't really buy that, but I do believe that it was a real vision, it just never got the chance to exist. Because by the time they started development, the rod had already reached Sucker Punch. And just like so many other studios, they also jumped on the feminist propaganda bandwagon, desperately trying to blur the distinctive line between men and women. That's when pandering to a specific audience became more important. Now once again, let me be clear, as I've also talked about this in a previous video, female leads are not a problem at all. It's how you handle them that makes all the difference, especially now when most games star a masculine female lead purely for political reasons. And when they keep forcing this bullshit propaganda, there comes a point where people get tired. And they actually are tired. With all the woke trash failing left and right, it could not be more evident that the girl boss fatigue has set in. But these executives have their heads way too far up their own asses to notice what's actually happening. And that's the main problem. Once a company gets big, they stop listening to the fans who made them big in the first place. I mean, just look at this scene.
I watched that tree burn. How did you escape?
Same way. I survived every battle. The thought of killing you.
We will be remembered forever. No, you will be forgotten.
Compared to Ghost of Tsushima, this is a huge downgrade. A thought-provoking, excellent dialogue full of weight and emotion replaced with a try-hard one-liner. All of this has been done to death in almost every revenge story out there.
My father taught me to survive, and every day since, I have thought of only one thing: making you suffer.
Now, I wish it was the only problem, cause then there's the combat, which somehow became the main focus instead of stealth. Now, don't get me wrong. The combat itself looks great, but they're doubling down on the whole "she's just as strong as any man" bullshit. Just look at her yoinking this guy several feet in the air. Now, I never thought I had to do this again, but here, I'll give some credit to Assassin's Creed Shadows again. Cause when Naue uses a Kusarigama, she actually launches herself towards the enemy, which physically makes sense. One more problem a lot of fans had with the combat was the stance system being replaced by a weapon switching system. At first, I wasn't a fan either. However, the more I thought about it, the more it kinda made sense for Atsu. Cause she's not a professionally trained samurai like Jin Sakai. She's a survivor who used whatever weapon she could find. But still, it would have made much more sense if stealth was the main focus with Atsu. She should have been more agile with more tools and weapons focusing on stealth. Something as simple as going prone would be a great addition. But anyways, no matter what I say, Ghost of Yōtei will sell just fine. Only because it's carrying the Ghost name, and with a solid track record, Sucker Punch has built up enough goodwill that fans are willing to give them the benefit of doubt. But with what I've seen so far, I know I won't like it. I hope I'm wrong, but I won't. And I'm not alone in feeling that way. The thing is, in this industry, a solid track record is basically next to nothing. Cause when a company becomes big, the downgrade is almost inevitable. And you know what follows the downgrade? Downfall. This is what happens when companies stop listening to their audience. Meanwhile, the smaller studios get it and they actually listen to fan feedback. Just look at the guys at Rebel Wolf. The new gameplay footage of the Blood of Dawnwalker blew me away. Now, just in case you don't know much about this game, the Blood of Dawnwalker is a dark fantasy RPG starring a normal dude with a sword. Well, not exactly normal, he's a half human, half vampire, basically a medieval blade, but you get the idea. It's a complete narrative sandbox where your choices actually shape the experience. Every run plays out differently, giving you massive replay value. And since these are the ex-Witcher 3 devs, this game carries more Witcher DNA than Witcher 4 ever will. The game does not shy away from dismemberment and gore, and on top of that, you can definitely expect to make some tough moral choices. Now, while Witcher 4 also went full girl boss, these guys are giving players like me exactly what we've been asking for. But here's the thing, back when they first showcased the gameplay, there were some issues. The game didn't look all that impressive. The camera angle was weird, the combat felt awkward and janky, and overall the animations just look outdated. Honestly, it didn't bother me too much. I was just happy to finally see a dark fantasy RPG made for just normal gamers. But of course there were people who complained, and the best part is the devs actually listened. The new gameplay footage looks like a huge improvement over what they showed before. They fixed most of the stuff in just a couple of months, and that's really a respectful gesture. Maybe the weird camera angle was their personal vision, but instead of telling the fans to f*** off, they just added an option to change it, simple as that. Now, in this industry, it has become the norm to treat your audience like trash and then blame them when the game flops. So this right here was a breath of fresh air. The new gameplay for the Blood of Dawnwalker looks great. Combat is way more fluid now and the animations are much smoother. They also shared some more information about the crazy narrative freedom this game offers. The main objective of the game is to save Cohen's family within 30 days. Now, I don't know about you, but this premise already feels way stronger than the same old revenge story. Protecting your family is just a basic human instinct. It's something you can just instantly connect with, and that's why it resonates with me. But anyways, that 30 days is not actually a time limit. Instead, they're using time as a currency, and doing certain quests will cost time. So you'll have to be mindful whether a quest is even worth your time or not. Literally. You can also choose to pass the time, which lets you play entirely as a human during the day or as a vampire at night. Now, they say that the choices and consequences systems have 3 layers. The first is a simple dialogue choice. We all know how that works. Or doesn't. The second layer ties into the dual gameplay loop with day and night offering different opportunities and outcome. And the third layer is basically saying, I'd rather not choose at all. Not making a choice is also a choice, and the results can be unpredictable. But with all that, you might be wondering, what if Cohen fails to save his family in time? Does the game end there? Turns out it doesn't, but Cohen's family might suffer some consequences, and that's for us to find out. That would probably be the bad ending. But anyways, you know what's the best part? There's no live service, no Fortnite-fied nonsense, no season passes, and no pay-to-win garbage. Just a straight-up game with cosmetics, armor, and swords right there in the world. You can find all the good stuff just by exploring. You also get rewarded for completing quests, and just paying attention to the world around you can uncover new quest lines. That's exactly how it should be done, and how it actually used to be done back in the day. Nowadays, it's so rare that it seems like a unique feature. These devs want to reward the players for exploring the world they have created. And with a game like this, where the world is full of monsters and vampires, hell yeah, I'll be exploring every single nook and cranny. Overall, the game looks fantastic. And to be very honest, it was the only real standout in an otherwise garbage event. And that's why these newer, smaller studios give me hope. They're still somewhat safe from the corporate greed that's been destroying every single game I grew up loving. You can actually feel the passion and love the devs have put into this, because they actually care about giving us a good game. Now tell me this, can you really say that about Ghost of Yōtei? I mean, out of literally anyone in the world they could have hired, they went with the Veilguard writers for f***'s sakes. And what did they come up with? A goddamn boss baby revenge quest. Nothing unique, nothing new. What's sad is this is the same sucker punch that gave us the Infamous series. Sure, the gameplay was kinda rough, but the stories of Infamous 1 and 2 were ahead of their time. Even Second Son, while not perfect, was still a fun game and I really liked it. That was back when they actually gave a damn about the characters and the story. You know what? It would have been way better if they just worked on a new Infamous game instead. Actually no, I take that back. They would ruin that. It would have been way better if they just remade Infamous 1 and 2 without touching the story at all. But well, here we are. I do hope Ghost of Yōtei turns out to be a good game, but who am I kidding? Anyways, share your thoughts about the recent showcases down in the comments. I'm not a huge fan of first-person games, unless it's a military shooter, but Cronos looks pretty solid. Thanks for watching, drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care.